Donald Trump's global tariff spree is rattling economies like a rogue safety car deployment, chaotic, unpredictable, and catching everyone off guard. Allies and adversaries are getting swept into this trade war with little distinction, as if the whole world's been lumped into one giant penalty box. The real kicker: some of these economic strategies seem more like gut guesses than calculated moves, leading to a cascade of unexpected side effects. One of those consequences is now creeping into the world of Formula One. Haas Automation, the US-based machine tooling company behind the F1 team, is feeling the sting. It's the kind of business that fits perfectly into Trump's vision of revitalized American manufacturing, employing thousands across the country in what you'd call textbook industrial jobs. But the very tariffs meant to protect these industries are now dealing a heavy blow, with the company describing the impact as nothing short of significant. This isn't just a case of a single company tightening its belt. The pressure on Haas Automation could send shockwaves through Formula One itself. When a team's financial backer starts feeling the squeeze, it's not long before those stress cracks show up in operations, development speed, and competitive edge. And let's face it, in F1, losing half a second per lap is the difference between fighting for points and fading into the midfield mist. The irony? Formula One thrives on global collaboration. Parts are sourced from one continent, refined on another, and assembled on a third. A trade blockade here or a cost spike there can cripple timelines and development plans faster than a mid-season regulation change. Trump's tariffs weren't aimed at F1, but like gravel traps in a rain-soaked qualifying session, the sport might still get caught out. Haas has long leaned on motorsport as a flashy billboard for its brand, putting its name front and center in both Formula One and NASCAR. While F1 has recently made inroads with American fans, NASCAR still owns the airwaves in the heart of the Rust Belt, where its loyal audience watches every left turn like it's a national duty. For Haas, racing isn't just passion, it's prime-time advertising. But now, that glossy facade is being tested by the blunt force of Trump's trade war. His tariffs, dropped like sledgehammers on America's trading partners, are sending global markets into a spin more dramatic than a Turn 1 pile-up in Monza. The financial aftershocks are massive. Over $6 trillion evaporated from the value of America's top 50 companies, with fears rising of an all-out global economic clash. As of today, the markets are tumbling once more after the US slapped an extra 50% on Chinese imports, jacking total tariffs up to a staggering 104 to 114%. Caught in this financial crossfire is Haas Automation. Their recent statement reads like a red flag warning before a major mechanical failure. Orders for machine tools are plummeting, both locally and internationally, forcing the company to scale back. They've cut overtime, frozen hiring, and pulled the brakes on production at their only plant in Oxnard, California, where 1,700 workers have been keeping the wheels turning since 1983. Here's the kicker: even though Haas proudly manufactures in the USA, it still relies on raw materials from abroad to build its products. Now, thanks to the tariff hikes, importing from China has become twice as expensive, literally overnight. And while materials from other Asian suppliers are under slightly lower duties, the final impact isn't much better. It's like trying to race with a car weighed down by ballast. Doesn't matter if it's a little or a lot, the performance still tanks. In short, Haas finds itself in a high-speed collision between patriotic messaging and global supply realities. And just like in motorsport, when one part of the machine fails, the whole system starts to wobble. Haas is now stuck playing political chess with a president known more for flipping the board than sticking to the rules. The company is lobbying the US administration to carve out tariff exemptions, specifically for raw materials and components critical to America's machine tool sector. At the same time, they're pushing to keep tariffs in place for finished imported machine tools, trying to protect their turf while keeping the supply chain alive. But here's the harsh reality: they're not alone. Haas is now rubbing shoulders in the queue with world leaders and diplomats, all hoping to convince Trump that their situation is the special case that deserves a loophole. For Haas, the squeeze is already shifting gears. The team had to slash its NASCAR involvement this season, shrinking from a 4-car operation to just one. And while the full extent of the tariff impact on its Formula One outfit hasn't hit the headlines yet, the signs aren't exactly encouraging. The F1 team doesn't build its parts in-house. They're sourced largely from Italy, with Dallara and Ferrari as key suppliers. If those costs start ballooning, the team's already tight margins could vanish like grip on a cold set of tires. years. In a sport where every gram matters and budgets are stretched like brake discs at Suzuka, even small economic disruptions can lead to catastrophic consequences. Haas may be fighting for tariff relief in Washington, but on the track, they'll be fighting just to stay competitive. This escalating economic battlefield now threatens to drag Haas deeper into the storm. Their main Formula One operations are run out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, right next to their scaled-down NASCAR team. But the F1 side of the business stretches across the Atlantic, with a crucial race operations hub in Banbury, England, and a design office nestled inside Scuderia Ferrari's headquarters in Maranello, Italy. So when tariffs slam into Europe, Haas can't just duck. Their entire supply line takes a direct hit. Every component that makes up a Haas F1 car, from the chassis built by Dallara to the power units supplied by Ferrari, is now tangled in this web of international penalties. Add to that the ballooning costs already suffocating their core machine tooling business, and it's not an exaggeration to say the whole Haas enterprise is skidding towards serious danger. When the team joined the F1 grid in 2016, their costs were leaner, focused mainly on staffing, logistics, and assembling parts shipped in from their European partners. Fast forward to today, and the operation has grown into a globe-spanning effort involving engineers and mechanics spread across the US, the UK, and Italy. But the financial model hasn't grown as fast as the geopolitical chaos. Recent valuations of Formula One teams, published by blackbookmotorsport.com in December, have revealed just how far the sport has come in financial terms. Incredibly, every team is now valued north of $1 billion, with the 2024 average valuation hitting an eye-watering $2.31 billion. It's a number that would have sounded like fantasy just a few years ago, back when F1's financial future was as unpredictable as a wet weather qualifying session. Predictably, the heavyweights top the chart. Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes all boast valuations exceeding $3.5 billion. Meanwhile, Haas finds itself lingering at the back of the grid in more ways than one, valued at just $1.02 billion. It trails behind Williams, $1.24 billion, Racing Bulls, $1.22 billion, and Sauber, $1.2 billion, making it the least valuable team on the current F1 roster. In a sport obsessed with margins, even in dollar signs, that's not an enviable position. Right now, the biggest wildcard isn't on the grid, it's in Washington. No one, including his closest advisors, seems to know which way Donald Trump will steer next. As global markets suffer their fifth consecutive day of losses, the backlash against the US administration's trade strategy is mounting. But ironically, it's not America's competitors paying the price. It's the country's own businesses and consumers caught in the economic crossfire. For companies like Haas Automation, it's a perfect storm. Some are hoping the growing pressure might push Trump to reverse course, but until that happens, firms like Haas are left twisting in gale-force financial headwinds. And with many analysts believing F1 team valuations have hit their peak, or may even be overvalued, it wouldn't be shocking if Gene Haas started eyeing the exit door. Toyota seems to be playing the long game, quietly observing the chaos, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce like a strategist timing an undercut. But if financial pressure mounts on Gene Haas and the storm becomes too fierce to weather, even a self-funding team like Haas F1 might look like a $1.02 billion lifeboat worth cashing in. That valuation, courtesy of blackbookmotorsport.com, could suddenly become very real. Toyota, if serious about jumping back into F1, would likely want to uproot the team's operations from US soil to avoid the red tape and tariff traps. But that move wouldn't come cheap. Shifting an F1 headquarters across the Atlantic is no small feat, and the necessary restructuring would almost certainly drag down the final purchase price. That $1.02 billion valuation, it could drop faster than lap times in a DRS zone once relocation costs, political uncertainty, and logistical chaos are factored in. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.